Hi.
Hi. All right, we're live.
That took a minute.
One exact minute.
Yeah. And now am I supposed to have a share button? Sorry, we'll be back with you in a moment. Am I supposed to have a share button in my group to share to my page?
Yes.
There's no share button. That's okay.
No.
That's okay.
Your group is private.
Yes.
That's why.
No problem. That's not a problem. I'll just post it after. So
yeah, or you can share it. You can share it from my group or my profile if you would like. But yeah, your group is private. I forgot about that.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. That feels like too much right now.
It'll live on. It'll live on
forever and ever.
Yes. All right, anyone is watching, we apologize for the troubleshooting as we kick off, but this is the first time of doing a live stream together on multiple channels and groups that different people own. So we're trying it out along the way. But
it's actually really cool because literally we've got YouTube and my group and your page. And so it's actually really, well, here's the point. Sue right here, like, social media technical genius. So if you need help with any social media, like, she is your girl. So I'm just like, just tell me what to do and where to show up, and I'll just talk.
Hilarious. Thank you so much. And that's part of the thing too, right? Is the different things that give us the anxiety that either enable us or disable us from doing the thing, which is why we're here today. So yes, I'm Sue Koch. My group is the Social Media Sanity Challenge. And the reason I started that group is because of all of the anxieties that people have, whether it's around the tech or that inner work that needs to be done in order to get out there, shine our bright lights and serve the world and do the thing that we're called to do. And because it's not just as easy as saying, just do the thing, Dani, that's her masterful side. And that's why we're here together to have this conversation. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so absolutely. So my name is Dani Fake, and I joke that yes, that is a real last name. It's kind of a fun and memorable one, right? And what's interesting about that is my whole shtick in the world, if you will, is about authenticity. And with authenticity comes vulnerability. And so Sue and I were talking about what it means to show up. I mean, the bucket we were talking about was within the context of social media, but the reality is this can be true anywhere in your life. So whether you're showing up in relationships or at work or in any area of your life, that authenticity and vulnerability is super important. And it can be really easy to say, you just got to be vulnerable, just put yourself out there, just do the thing. But most of us have defense structures in place that are like, nope. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be vulnerable. I want to feel like I'm safe. And so that's where this came from, is how can we kind of blend that, Sue's masterful expertise about helping people really utilize social media in an effective way, and my expertise of how do you manage what happens inside of you to make that happen.
Yes, I love it. I'm so excited. We've been talking for a while about doing this, and I just feel like the work that both of us do together, we'll talk about some conversations about our own experiences and real life fears and challenges. But for anyone watching, please share any comments or questions about some things that you may be trying to do. And join us at the bottom. You can see we've got some places where you can find us. I have the socialmediavault.com where you can sign up for free to access a bunch of videos on a lot of ideas around content structure and other resources. And please go to danifake.com. There's also an update in the post of where you can sign up to get on her list to connect with her on a lot of this meaningful work. And, really just having the realization, as I've seen the work that you've been doing, like, I've been so moved and wowed by seeing some of the stories we've shared behind the scenes around anxieties around social media, and then you just going out and doing that. And your vulnerability in your posts, it's so real. If anyone in my group isn't following Dani, I'm sure you'll accept some new friendships or join her group at the Soul Center. It is just amazing. And that is the type of real, authentic content that people are looking for in social media to make them feel like I am heard. And then on the other side of that coin, if you're in my social media sanity group and one of those people that I talk to about feeling that imposter syndrome, or that who am I to, or the compare and the despair, or I just don't know how to tap into it. That's the kind of work that Dani does. And not only that she coaches people on, but that she's walking her talk on and demonstrating.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, to build on that. So in my group, the Soul Center, which is hi Soul Centers, those of you that are already here, really it is a private group, which we just realized as part of our tech issues here, but it is a private group. And one of the things that I have learned over the course of my career, I used to be a psychotherapist. I've been a life and executive coach for many, many years. But the concept of self-compassion is the most important key factor in helping you to overcome the things that hold you back. And it's not the only factor, right? There's a lot of things that are involved in that, but the ability to deepen your capacity to, I call it the gentle, nurturing energy that you give to your parts of self. Like that is such an incredibly important part of being able to fully step out and be who you are, which is so important when you're trying to build a social media strategy or do anything in your life, right? So the easiest way to talk about this is if you think about, like if you're watching, maybe a little note over in the chat, how many of you have an inner critic? Anybody have an inner critic? Sue, you have an inner critic? Yeah. Oh my God, I have a vicious one. I've been doing this work for a while, and she still gets active. I had a conversation with a former colleague yesterday, and was listening to what he was doing together. And all of a sudden I was like, I got super jealous. And then I was like, I am an imposter. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, who do I think I am? I have no confidence. I know nothing, right? Like, so I just got attacked by this inner critic. And so what the work becomes is, first of all, recognizing when you get an inner critic attack, how do you actually take that critic outside of you and be like, oh, you're actually not me. I'm going to put you outside of me, not to get rid of you, because gang, you can't. All right. Sorry for that bad news. But if you can get that part outside of you, then you can look at her or him and be like, okay, I see you. I hear you. I'm either going to I'm just going to let you hang out over there and do some, work on letting my authentic self do the work. But if you keep attacking me, I actually might need to get really curious about you. Because gang, it is impossible to be judgmental and curious at the same time. If you can get, right, it's true, right? So most of us judge our inner critics. We're like, I hate you, get off the bus. I don't want you in my life. And I just how is that working? It doesn't. So if you can actually bring some genuine curiosity, why is this part of me here? How are they trying to help me? Because they are. I know it doesn't feel like it, but every single part is trying to help you, no matter how vicious they are to you. And then understanding what's behind that. And what happens is, just like anyone as human beings, right? When you feel seen, when you feel acknowledged, and when you feel heard, all of your defenses will relax. Mm-hmm. And that happens with the inner critic as well. So when they feel that part of you feels seen, acknowledged, and heard, they will often turn down the volume on their attacks and give you space, right? So I got space, by being able to see, oh wow, my inner critic just attacked the hell out of me for that. So then I was able to look at her and be like, okay, I see you, and I see you're trying to protect me. So you're giving me a message that something is up. There is a vulnerability, and this is the key, right? That inner critic is trying to protect a vulnerability. There was a vulnerability that was there about how I showed up with this guy, right? Mm-hmm. And so then I was able to offer gentle, nurturing energy. And when you can do that, then I was able to make better decisions with my night instead of eating the tater tots and drinking all the wine that I wanted to do, and I didn't do that.
That's a tough decision too. I know that. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. And, I'd love to apply it to the real life scenario, which is, you talked about how giving the inner critic the acknowledgement, yes, is so important. And a big part of the fears that people have on social media and putting themselves out there in a genuine and vulnerable way is also getting that acknowledgement, which is seen by way of likes and comments and reactions. And then there's the dual side of that, right? Because when you go into social media, the ego and that dopamine hit comes when you get the likes and the reactions and all the good stuff. So there's one, which is, and I actually did a poll when I started my social media sanity group, which was, what are the things that most concern you? And they were all over the board. But one of the biggest ones was fear of no interaction. So there's the level of not getting the acknowledgement. I go out and I do someone and no one sees it.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that, which is the negative. So what if there's a hater or a troll or someone says something bad? So you get acknowledgement, but it's negative acknowledgement. So there's the fear of not getting any, there's the fear of getting the bad. And that takes away from putting the intention behind knowing that we'll get the good from the people we're meant to serve and who will meet us where we're at.
So how have you gotten past those two obstacles for yourself? Because you are so good at putting yourself out there and going live and being authentic. Like you're really good at this. Yeah, how have you overcome those two obstacles?
Thank you. You know, it's still scary. And it's only just recently that I've been like going live every day. And one of the biggest parts of that too, for me, was the tech and the setup. Even though I'm a very tech person, new tools, new things, getting things set up for me in a way that it was easy, that I could literally just walk over here, hit a button and go. And that was everything. Even just like moving lights around and mics and all that kind of stuff created such an overwhelm in my mindset that I wouldn't do it. So first of all, it's like, get the tech set, get your structure and your space set. And it's so much easier to then make it happen. And once you get also past the like confidence and fears and imposter syndrome. Another reason that I am able to do the thing that I'm doing every day is because it was created by way of a coaching program. So I made an investment. I was in an amazing group being motivated by an extraordinary coach and 5 other women doing the same thing. And that also brought me to, we lifted each other up, we shared with each other, we supported each other, and it also kept me accountable. And I'll be honest, even doing what I do, I don't know that I would be doing this every day if not for that. And then once I got it going, it was like, wow, I did that. I'm doing that. Mm-hmm. And there may be days I have no views at all, or no one interacting, but I'm getting messages, right? So it's also thinking about what's more important, what's seen to the public eye, or what you might be doing and impacting behind the scenes. And I'll never forget the first time I put a video on the internet was actually a fitness video before I started doing this. And it was because I was fitness instructors were using choreography from each other. And I thought, well, I'm using others, so I need to give back. And I'm going to put my own video up. And literally within hours, I got a thumb down. And I was just like, the world is over. I'm taking it down. I'm never teaching class again. I'm moving to South America. It was like,
you saw that part. You had a part that jumped in and was like, I'm going to take over this now. We're not doing this again.
Right. And like you said, the part is there to serve, right? The part was there to protect me from being hurt. Yeah. But then I waited like, all right, calm down. And then the good starts to come in. And then the good starts to outweigh, right? If I get a message from someone on a video that no one makes a comment on, I feel like no one's seen. And to the public, it might look at Sue's video. Sue's video sucked. No one liked it. No one said a word. But I got an email saying, oh my God, you gave me the best idea today. I never would have thought of that. That's what matters.
Yeah. Well, and so as you were telling that story, I just wrote down two notes, like 2 things that I heard. And one is that your success in being able to be vulnerable on social media had to do with one community. So having some connection, some kind of support. So whether that's like, I think you and I provide that for each other, but also in this scenario, you had an actual group. The other thing I heard was a celebration. Like when you did it or when you got something from it, like you actually stopped and acknowledged, like, yes, this was a good thing, and actually like giving yourself kudos for that.
Yeah.
And the other thing, you didn't say this quite as explicitly, but this is where my work comes in, is it just feels so important that you, not you, Sue, well, yes, you, Sue, but you and everybody have the skill set to manage because here's the thing, you put yourself out there and again, it's social media, but it's also in your work and it's in relationships. And it's like when you are vulnerable or authentic in your life, you are always putting yourself at the risk of something coming in that you don't like. You can't rely on external validation for everything in your confidence, right? So having the tools to manage the parts of you that have a really hard time with this is what can help a lot of people overcome their fears of putting themselves out there. Right. And so, we, in the Soul Center, we talk about self-compassion, we talk about parts of self, and we also talk about unprocessed grief and how unprocessed grief will also hold us back.
Yeah.
Right. And so whatever, however in your life you're putting yourself out there, it's just practicing the tools of managing yourself. And I talk about it in terms of managing your parts, so that you keep your, I call it your inner wisdom, your most wise self, always coming forward, right? Because Sue, if that part of you that got the thumbs down was then like, nope, I'm quitting, I'm never doing this again, like you're not going to be successful in what you're trying to do. But when you're able to calm that part down and then be able to step forward with a more wise self that can manage, even if no one ever comments on your stuff, you're like, well, I'm still going to do it because I have a bigger vision. I'm still going to do it because my inner self is saying, this is what I'm meant to do. And those tools are so important.
It is. And I love that inner vision. Like, we can't let that outside chatter kill that inner vision. And so much of it too is like the compare and despair makes us feel like, oh, well, now my inner vision isn't the same as this influencer's inner vision, and hers is bigger and she's got more people, so I shouldn't bother, right? Well, there's people at every level of the journey, right? That sounds so familiar, doesn't it? And yeah, you know what? There are people out there doing better, doing more, farther ahead, and there always be. Those people that we see here and get compare and despair from, they too have that up here, right?
Yes.
It's like it continue. If a coach just getting started was like, oh, well, Tony Robbins is already doing it, so I'm not going to bother, right? Right. So there's always someone that we are serving that is at our level or behind us, following that needs where we're at. You don't have to be Tony Robbins. You don't have to be Gary Vaynerchuk. You don't have to be Marie Forleo. Be you, because there are people there at your level that resonate with your story and what you've just accomplished. And so if you have that compare and despair, unfollow those people. Hide them for 30 days, right? Do those things that aren't going to make you stifle your own inner vision, because that's what's going to keep you moving.
Well, and not only are you comparing to them, and then they're comparing to something up here, you're also comparing your behind the scenes drama with their beautiful finished picture, right? They've also got behind the scenes drama going on that you just don't see, right?
Exactly.
And so again, which is why I feel like just psychologically we tend to go out and we scan it's how we're built. We scan the external world for threats. Right. Where the work needs to come to help you, step into the place where you really want to be in your life is doing the inner work of managing your parts so that you aren't comparing and despairing. You're not afraid to put yourself out there. You're not afraid to say the hard thing to your partner or your friend that you need to, right? Because you've got the tools to do it, and just the benefits that can come to your life, and that are huge.
It is. It is true. It is true. And sometimes the scariest things are like, or the most beneficial ones are the times where you do that thing. I know we've all done it, right? You write all this post up, you write this copy, you put up a beautiful picture, you pour your heart out, and then you're like, nah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Sue.
We've never done it.
I've never done that.
But that could be that thing that someone is needing to see from you in that moment. And that's the thing too, is like the scariest stuff is often the stuff that once you do that and you're like, okay, the response you get, it just will reaffirm that message that you are doing the right thing. And because it is, the scary thing is the thing that we need to be doing.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's keep doing scary things. Doing scary things. Yeah.
What would you tell someone from your coaching expertise and working with these different parts of self that put the kibosh on our goals and dreams and messaging to help those that we're meant to serve? What would you tell someone if they were just getting started in starting a business and wanting to put themselves out there in social media, and they were just feeling like they were feeling that inner critic just saying, who are you to?
Yeah. I would actually tell them to start observing themselves and getting curious about themselves. Again, it depends on the person, but most people that I come across, unless they've done some sort of like much deeper psychological work, aren't aware or don't think of themselves in terms of parts. Most people think of themselves as one person. But you're not just Sue. You've got a whole bunch of Sues on your bus, and I've got a whole bunch of Dannys on my bus. And so that would be the first thing how I would introduce people into this work is to start. One of my mentors calls it eavesdropping on yourself. And so start listening to the voices in your head. Like literally, we joke about that in our culture, but we all have voices in our head, people, right? But literally listen to the voices in your head. What are you saying to yourself? When are you saying it? Where's it coming from? Right. So sometimes it's the inner critic. Sometimes you might have like an awesome part of you that's like, let's go, let's get this. This is who's that? Let's get to know her, right?
Yeah,
because she's going to be an ally for us. We want to
come to the front of the bus.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be the very first step I would say is just start eavesdropping on yourself and start to understand the different voices, and then you start to see yourself as observer. And that's kind of the second step is once you start to see the parts, then you need to be like, well, who's watching those parts? That's the magic ticket. When you can start to connect with who is doing the observing, because that who is your truest self, your most authentic self, your inner wisdom, and she or he is the one that's going to know this is how I move forward in whatever area of my life. So that would be the first step that I would start with is just start eavesdropping on yourself.
I love that. And yet, because sitting back, something I've been doing a lot more of in talking with you about all of these things, and, just a lot of personal growth and work is taking that time to sit back, right? Instead of when you have that feeling of you're starting to do something, you get frustrated, you give up, or you start to put something vulnerable into copy, and then you're like, nah, I can't do that. And then we walk away, we grab a snack, or we call someone, or we start to doom scroll, right? But in that moment, actually sitting back and going, okay, thinking about it, being aware of why we're stopping, and not just doing that run for the satiation that we do, but okay, stop for a minute, but sit in that and ask yourself why. A lot of times when I'm doing something that I feel anxiety about sharing, and I sit back and I think about it, I actually start to think about the people I think might see it and judge me.
Oh, I was going the other way with that, but the people that might judge you. Okay.
Yeah. Like, what is Sue doing? Or why is she doing that? Or why does she think that? Or, and thinking about maybe it's other experts in my field, or maybe it's past clients, or maybe it's just other people I'm connected to. And I think about, okay, so I'll just have that reaction of stop. And then I do what I'm supposed to do now, which is not go grab a glass of wine, but sit in that feeling and think about it.
Yes. And so if we were working together, that is exactly what we do is actually we would sit down and help you have a conversation with that part of you that's looking for the judger, the external judger. Right? So we'd go, okay, you're looking for that external judger. Who's doing the looking? What is she trying to protect you from? What does she need from you so that she can relax? Yeah. So we'd have to start to have a conversation with that part of you. And I love what you're talking about, like just, going still. I call it the sacred pause, like literally taking the pause instead of our parts in moments like that, like, oh my God, my hater is going to be looking at this. I can't do it. You get hijacked immediately. Go grab I don't know why I keep saying tater tots and wine. It's not a common thing, but it was going to be last night. Jump up and just go do that just to make it go away, and if you do that, sometimes it serves us. It wouldn't be there if it didn't serve us. But if you continue to do that, you're just in a cycle and you never get out of it, and you never get to create the things that you want in your life. And so that sacred pause, and what I tell people, because it can feel overwhelming, because you're really sitting with your emotions. So, which for some people who maybe aren't as skilled at that can feel unbelievably scary. Yeah. So sometimes they'll say like, if you're like, I'm going to get the wine. Okay, fine. Tell yourself you can go get the wine. The sacred pause, just sit for 30 seconds. Give yourself 30 seconds to go, what's happening here? Or even just be, even if you're white knuckling it on your couch, like, what's happening? Like, okay, then go get the wine. Like, right? I mean, ideally you take the sacred pause, you turn the part down, and then you don't need to go get the wine. But that's not always how it starts. When right. This is a skill, but you've got to start by taking the sacred pause for a little bit of time, giving a little bit of space. And then the next time you give a little more space. And then the next time you eventually get to the point where you can actually effectively change your behavior.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the key too. And then also too, then the wine becomes a treat and a gift for sitting in sacred pause instead of a mutation of emotions that you're trying to avoid. And so that experience is different.
Yeah. Very different mindset of a celebratory approach to it as opposed to like I'm going to push everything down.
Yeah. But I love that too, that it is a behavior change, because this is stuff that is like, it's ingrained in the neurons in our brain to react in a certain way.
You have pathways, literal path. You have to change them. Yeah.
We literally don't know. And it hurts. Like, I think I was telling you when I did this program, like the challenges that I was faced in focusing in ways that I had never done before, and behaviors and overcoming this and just doing the thing. It literally felt like growing pains, like from a kid, like, and it's like, okay, I am changing behaviors, and it's a challenge. But once you do that and you're on the other side, oh my God, but it takes a while. You have to change that behavior, retrain the neural pathways and what your inner belief systems have been telling you for, a lot of years of life.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You can't do any of that without vulnerability. And vulnerability requires courage, because it is hard work. And I know, Brene Brown is like the expert on vulnerability. So if none of you have heard of her and are interested in vulnerability, like look at her work. But one of the things that I layer on top of that is you've got to have self-compassion to really be successful with your vulnerability. And self-compassion is just like, I said at the beginning, like one of the most important things. And it's a skill, it's a skill, and it's not self-care. It's not self-indulgence. It's not letting yourself off the hook for anything. Like it really, it's an energy that you offer to yourself, and the self-compassion itself is vulnerable. So it's all kind of intermixed together. But it's so fun. I mean, it's hard, but it's so worthwhile.
It is, and it's life-changing. Truly, I don't think a lot of people have heard those two terms together very often, right? It's hard to point that finger at ourselves in a empathy, it coming from empathy and compassion. Usually when we're pointing that finger at ourselves, we're like, why'd you do that? That was dumb. I can't believe you did that. Not with a compassionate finger and love that we would do for a friend or a loved one. And we need to have that for ourselves.
Yeah. Our inner critics are much easier to live with, right? Until they're not, right?
Yeah.
Until they hold us back. So, yeah. Well, I just want to say I thank you for doing this. This has been, it's been my first dual live, so it's been kind of fun just to have a conversation with you. And to anybody who's watching, if you're not already a part of the Soul Center, if you want to come join the group where we talk about self-compassion, parts of self, and unprocessed grief, which sounds heavy, and it's really not. It's fun. It's good. Come join me over there. Would love to have you a part of the Soul Center. And Sue, where can they find you? Oh my God, I sound like I'm on a TV show or something. Where can they find you?
You are. Yes, join her group, because she shares amazing things that will change your perspective and help you pass these things that are holding you back. And if you're in the social media sanity, or join Social Media Sanity Challenge is my group, where I share bits and things about overcoming these things that we all face, like imposter syndrome, compare and despair, and also some of the systematic structures that you can put in place to actually use social media differently, so that we don't have these other voices and critics coming at us, because the one in our own head that Dani will help us deal with is enough. So join me there, and then also join me at socialmediavault.com, where you can get access to some of these structures and frameworks that will help simplify your life. But I would love to do this again, Dani.
Sure. I would love to do that.
And if there's any topics, if anyone's watching and has any topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, that would be amazing.
It'll be the Sue and Dani show.
We could dance too. We know we share some of those too.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. One of us is better at it than the other, but yeah.
Yes, you are.
Just one final little thing I do want to say for Sue's social media challenge group here on Facebook. If you are someone that struggles with Facebook because you feel like it's so negative, Presley. Oh, somebody's walking
There's
outside.
the hallway vacuum shows up just as we're wrapping.
She has a lot of tips in there from, I think, your challenge, your video series, but literally how to clean up your Facebook feed, like little tips and tricks that I didn't know about. It has made Facebook tolerable for me, and now I actually love it because I've really cleaned up my feed from the negativity and even how ads show up. So you can go into that group, and there's some archives in there. I just highly recommend. I know it's more than just that, but that is something that has been really helpful for me. So
good. I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we can bring sanity to our news feeds, and then compassion from within. It will all be a better place for us all.
Yes. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, you all have a great day out there in Facebook land. Sue, you have a fabulous day. And we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye.
Bye.